The 2020 those controversial statements, particularly those of Swoops, a WNBA legend who many believed was unfairly minimizing Clark's achievements. In this post, we will examine the viral episode and dissect the arguments offered by both sides. Gilbert Arenas and his colleagues at Gil's Arena have earned a reputation for being unvarnished and frequently provocative when discussing NBA and WNBA matters. The show's style encourages in-depth study, while also fostering contested and occasionally controversial perspectives. The episode in question was no exception. The talk began with a general discussion of how dominance is characterized in sports, particularly among rookie players. Caitlin Clark, who had dominated the collegiate basketball scene before moving to the WNBA, rapidly became the focus of the discussion.
She went from playing in college, playing in the Final Four, going to the draft, going to training camp, season starts, and the Fever are playing I don't know how many games they played.
Clark's performances in college were nothing short of spectacular. Her record-breaking scoring and assist totals brought parallels to some of the best players in women's basketball history. Clark entered the WNBA with huge expectations, but according to Gil's Arena, her effect has yet to materialize fully. And this is where the discussion heated up, whether Caitlin Clark was already a dominant player or if fans and commentators had exaggerated her abilities.
Glass in for two.
Jackie Young with all 18 points here in the second quarter.
Cheryl Swoops, a prominent figure in women's basketball and one of the first players to join the WNBA, poured gasoline on the fire when she spoke up. During the show, Swoops questioned Caitlin Clark's WNBA supremacy, claiming that while Clark was outstanding in college, her transfer to the professional level had failed to live up to the promise. Swoops' comments focused on the idea that college dominance only sometimes converts into WNBA success. She pointed out that Clark's WNBA numbers, while excellent, did not always reflect the same level of perfect control over the game that she had demonstrated in college.
About like one player, but their ability to really gel together and their chemistry right now.
Many fans disagreed with this opinion, believing Caitlin Clark was a transformative athlete capable of becoming one of the WNBA's brightest stars. While Swoops' comments were not intended to invalidate Clark fully, they did appear to belittle the considerable pressure and hardships that rookies confront while transferring from college basketball to the pros. As a result, the topic immediately devolved into a dispute over how we evaluate dominance and whether Swoops was being unduly harsh on Clark.
What Caitlin's been able to do in a short period of time has been very impressive, right?
Gilbert Arenas and his co-hosts on Gil's Arena didn't hold back following Swoops' initial remarks. In fact, they appeared to agree with her, emphasizing that Clark, despite her scoring and assist records, was not dominating the WNBA in the same manner she had in college. The dispute centered on the intricacies of what constituted domination in sports, with Arenas arguing that Clark's stats, while impressive, still needed to indicate a player capable of controlling the flow of the game at whim.
She wouldn't be good, but I didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately.
One of the most important issues discussed was the distinction between scoring a lot of points and controlling the general flow of a game. While Clark's scoring and assist figures were obviously good, Arenas and his team believed she had yet to reach a level where she could routinely take over games. They thought her numbers were not equivalent to those of other WNBA stars during their peak years, such as Aja Wilson or Candace Parker. However, Arenas and his team recognized that Clark was still in the early phases of her career, and they made it plain that their criticism was not about her potential, but rather whether she had already achieved the degree of dominance that many expected.
One who said that, so I think a lot of people felt that when you talk to a lot of players in the W, it's like, look, it's hard for rookies to make that transition from college to the W.
Gino said it.
A large part of the conversation at Gil's Arena focused on the concept of domination in basketball. The hosts and Swoops debated what it meant to dominate a game. Is it all about the score, or is there more to it? Caitlin Clark's academic career had set an extremely high bar for what others expected of her. She was a natural leader on the court, setting records for assists and consistently posting high-scoring performances. However, upon entering the WNBA, Clark encountered the same obstacles that many young stars faced in their first seasons, adjusting to the greater level of competition, the toughness of the game, and the faster speed of professional basketball.
The WNBA has had Triggered the event? None other than the unrelenting and some say deadly roughness that Caitlin Clark has faced on the court. This isn't just another day in the WNBA. It's a crisis in the making, and Dunn is prepared to act.
Amazing. It's amazing. I cannot believe that many people are here just for the draft party. It's such an exciting moment. We're thrilled to select with the first pick Caitlin Clark.
But what's really going on here? Is this simply another chapter in the WNBA's illustrious history? Or is something more important emerging before our eyes? Let's go into the facts, unpack the difficulties, and find out why Lynn Dunn, one of the most respected personalities in women's basketball, is suddenly demanding quick action. Lynn Dunn's interest extends beyond basketball to the fundamental fabric of the game. Dunn's perspective is unique as the Indiana Fever's general manager. She's seen the league's evolution throughout the years, including the growth of players, the intensity of rivalries, and the rising fan base. But what she sees today is different, and it troubles her terribly.
You're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much, and I just feel really grateful to be here.
Dunn is especially concerned with Caitlin Clark's supporters' conduct and the more violent techniques employed against her on the court. It's one thing to play rough. Basketball, after all, is a contact sport. But when does toughness become dangerous? That is the question Dunn is asking, and it has sparked a passionate discussion within the WNBA community. Caitlin Clark, with her evident skill and compelling charisma, has emerged as the league's lightning rod. Her supporters are fervent, her opponents are tenacious, and the result is a level of ferocity that is making headlines throughout the sport. Dunn is frustrated not just with the physical play, but also with how the game is developing, or maybe devolving, in reaction to the demands that come with Clark's ascension.
From the logo,
Caitlin Clark's influence in the WNBA cannot be emphasized enough. She's more than simply another player. She's a sensation. Clark is creating waves on the floor, turning heads, and pushing opponents to reconsider their strategy. He averages 16.3 points, 6 assists, and 4.9 rebounds per game. But what's occurring off the field is absolutely astounding. Clark's presence has directly contributed to an increase in WNBA attendance and fan engagement. In Los Angeles, 19,033 people have come to witness her performance. In Washington, the attendance was even higher, 20,333 people packed the arena to see Caitlin Clark perform. These metrics are more than just numbers. They reflect the WNBA's burgeoning popularity, which is propelled in large part by Clark's spectacular performances.
I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now...
However, all of this prosperity has brought along a new set of obstacles. As Clark continues to dominate, she becomes a target. The brutality aimed against her is rising, and it's more than simply difficult defense. It's about survival. Opponents are pushing the envelope, testing the limits, and in some instances, crossing the line. That's where the real issue is. The WNBA has always distinguished itself by its physicality. However, there is a distinction between playing hard and dirty, and that line is getting more blurred. Caitlin Clark is at the heart of this argument, since she encounters physical obstacles on the court that some feel exceed what is appropriate in competitive play.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
Remember when Clark was hip-checked by Chennedy Carter, or when she clashed with Angel Reese? These aren't isolated events. They're part of a wider trend that's forming throughout the league. Clark has spoken out about the treatment she is undergoing, stating, "I feel like I'm getting hammered." For a player of her level to raise such worries is significant. It indicates that something has to change. The roughness thrown toward Clark is more than simply strong defense. It's about delivering a message, but what's the message? Is Clark too good, oppressive, or threatening? Or is it something more sinister, referring to larger flaws inside the league? These are the questions posed by fans, players, coaches, and experts alike. As the physicality goes up, so too does the discussion. Where do we distinguish between competitive play and harmful behavior? What constitutes appropriate on-court behavior, and when does it become excessive? These are the problems that are now front of mind in the WNBA, and Lynn Dunn is determined to solve them. Caitlin Clark's handling of the court has elicited different reactions. On one side, some supporters are upset, believing that Clark is being unjustly targeted and that the brutality she is experiencing is not simply part of the game, but a purposeful effort to bring her down. These supporters are loud, passionate, and demanding change.
An accidental collision with Caitlin Clark. You see it right there. Personnel crowds around her. She ended up being okay. She said she was fine. She just got the wind knocked out of her a little bit.
On the other hand, others contend that this is just basketball. It's a rigorous sport, and if you want to be the greatest, you must be able to manage the physical demands. For some followers, Clark's situation is merely part of the game, a necessary hurdle that she must face if she wants to compete at the greatest level. But it's not only the fans who are split. The league itself is debating how to react. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert recognized the problem, saying, "I believe everyone is watching Caitlin, so their emphasis is solely on Caitlin. But when compared to other games with additional players, it is a physical game." Engelbert's remarks underline the bigger context. The WNBA is a rough league, and Caitlin Clark isn't the only one dealing with these issues.
Yeah, I mean, her first month in W, obviously, aside from the numbers, the viewership, the attendance, the way that she plays the game, you know, she's ultra competitive. Her ability to really stretch the floor and find her teammates. Obviously, there is a learning curve. And
however, Engelbert's words pose serious considerations. Is Clark's physicality merely a facet of the game, or is there more to it? Is the league doing enough to safeguard its players, particularly its superstars? What message is being sent to the next generation of players and fans? These are the concerns that are rising to the forefront as the discussion around Caitlin Clark and the physicality of the WNBA heats up. So what precisely does Lynn Dunn propose? Dunn's strong words make it plain that she is unwilling to sit back and watch while the game she loves is imperiled. She is asking for quick action, urging the league to intervene and address the problem of physicality before it is too late.
About 20 seconds, maybe 15.
Why that long?
I don't know. They made me pause. You know the league. You gotta follow the directions.
Dunn isn't just speaking out, she's taking action. She allegedly submitted game videos to the league headquarters, underlining the risky play that she feels is endangering players like Caitlin Clark. Dunn's commitment is palpable. She's not just talking the talk, she's living the walk, leading by example for everyone participating in the game. But what fueled Lynn Dunn's ardent determination? Why is she so adamant about cleaning up the game, safeguarding the athletes, and maintaining the WNBA's integrity? The answer is rooted in her profound passion for the game, dedication to the league, and conviction that basketball can and should be better. Dunn's call to action applies to the whole league, not just one player or club. She's making a strong message about the significance of safeguarding star players, establishing a high standard for the whole WNBA, and keeping the game fair and safe for everyone on the field.
One of our biggest wins of the season so far was our first win at Phoenix. I think that really kind of boosted us into how we're playing basketball right now.
As the WNBA expands and evolves, physicality will remain a major concern. The league is at a crossroads, and the choices made over the next several months and years will significantly influence its future. If the league can find a way to combine toughness and safety, protecting its players while maintaining the game's purity, it has the potential to reach new heights. The WNBA has the potential to serve as a model for other sports leagues, demonstrating that it is feasible to play intense competitive basketball without jeopardizing player safety.
Left to go. How important was it for this group to come out after the break and get the win?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it sets the tone of where we want to be the rest of the season. So to grind this one out and get it done, I think is just a step in the right direction. But it's one at a time, and we have another big one Sunday.
However, if the league fails to handle the problem, the ramifications might be severe. Players might continue to get injured, the game's quality could deteriorate, and spectators could lose faith. The WNBA risks losing its momentum and its status as one of the most entertaining and dynamic sports leagues in the world. The WNBA's future is in the balance, and choices taken now will define the league for years to come. It is a watershed moment in the league's history, and players, fans, and the media will all be paying careful attention. To summarize, Lynn Dunn's call to action is about more than simply Caitlin Clark. It is about the future of the WNBA. The league is at a watershed moment as it deals with the problem of physicality and its influence on the game.
Yeah, I think just when I can get going early, that's when I really settle into the game and feel comfortable. And I think my third quarter wasn't great, but yeah, I think there's times where we would have crumbled, but we just kept battling and fighting, and I thought it was a really good win for us.
Dunn's drive to safeguard the players, maintain the league's integrity, and guarantee that the WNBA stays fair and safe reflects her passion for the sport. She is not just speaking out, she is also acting, setting an example for everyone participating in the game. The fight about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA has not ended, and it will continue to define the league's future. However, one thing is certain, the WNBA is a league worth fighting for, and it can achieve unprecedented heights.
Outside these 12, but know that Caitlin is going to have a bright future with USA Basketball, and I think, the points that she made, she's even more motivated, more hungry, and just knowing that her time is going to come.
As fans, players, and the media continue to weigh in on this topic, the WNBA's future will be molded by the choices made today. It is a watershed event in the league's history, with long-term implications for the game. So where are we going from here? The solution is up to the league, the players, and the fans. It is up to all of us to keep the WNBA a league we can be proud of, one that is tough, competitive, and fair. And with leaders like Lynn Dunn at the forefront, there's little question the WNBA is in capable hands.
This is a dream. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper when I was in second grade, get a basketball scholarship, play in the WNBA. This is always something I wanted to do.
The WNBA has long been a hotbed of competitive energy, including some of the world's most gifted athletes, some like Caitlin Clark, whose rapid ascent has created an undertone of dissatisfaction. Also, Teresa Weatherspoon, the Chicago Sky's head coach.
Man, you have to ask yourself that every single day that you live this life. Are you impacting the lives of other people? So I'm praying that the position that I hold tells people.
Recently made headlines at a news conference for what many are calling an unusual outburst, as well as her team's performance. The seasoned coach, renowned for her calm demeanor and great knowledge, surprised everyone when she refused to address questions regarding Clark and the Indiana Fever.
Keep moving! Keep moving! There we go!
How have you liked your attack on the offensive end, Spoon?
This event has caused significant conjecture and debate in the basketball world, prompting many to wonder, what is it about Caitlin Clark that is shaking up the WNBA so dramatically? In this video, we'll examine the controversy surrounding Teresa Weatherspoon's response and how Clark's presence in the league has changed the dynamics on the court, while also ruffling the feathers of established players and coaches.
Honestly, I think setting my teammates up, I think that just like provides so much more energy to the team. It gets everybody going, and when everybody can like touch the ball and, you know, get going in that way, I think it just, you know, everybody just flows a little bit better. The offense flows a little bit better. But that's something I take a lot of pride in. At times I think I can try to like overpass and probably could be a little more aggressive to the basket, but yeah, I think with the weapons that we have on our team.
We'll also investigate why Clark's influence on the WNBA is becoming a double-edged sword, bringing both unprecedented attention and great pressure on the league.
Yeah, I think we responded well after we had to use that timeout early in the third.
To comprehend the full scope of the present conflict, you must first understand why Caitlin Clark is generating such a stir in the WNBA.
I think turnovers are costing us a little bit. If we can take care of the ball a little bit better, we'll be in a better position, but I thought we did better on the O boards.
Clark's performance on the professional stage has been nothing short of remarkable. She is not just playing the game, she is rewriting the rules and establishing new standards.
But they go in. Not only do they go in consistently. And the way she plays the game, she's the true definition of a great player.
Clark made it evident right away that she wasn't your typical rookie. Her performances have repeatedly been jaw-dropping, and her statistics prove it. Clark, who averages 22.6 points.
I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now
7.8 assists and 5.4 rebounds per game, and has a 34.6% three-point shooting percentage, is not only making an impact,
slowly developing and getting better and better. And yeah, I think we're just, you know, learning as time goes and each game goes, like we're just getting better and better.
You've had an absolutely whirlwind first half of your rookie campaign. I want to ask you how much you're looking forward to this break, right, coming up.
But also creating history. These statistics are astonishing for any athlete, much alone a rookie. It's a little surprising that she's immediately been the focus of talks about the WNBA's future.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive 20-plus point rebound games.
However, Clark's effect extends beyond her statistics. Her impact on the Indiana Fever has been nothing short of transformational. Last season, the Fever finished with a 13-27 record, making them one of the league's worst teams.
This is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
However, with Clark at the helm, the Fever have made a stunning turnaround. They're no longer the league's punching bag.
I think it's easy, like these people are my best friends, and like that's not for show. Like I seriously know, like I'm not me without all of them, and they've had my back. And
instead, they're vying for a postseason place after already exceeding last year's victory total. Clark seemed to have revitalized the whole squad, transforming them into a formidable force.
Yeah, they've both been tremendous. I thought they played great defense. They've made great decisions out of the pick and roll or pick and pop. We got to keep going to them. All right, thanks. Thank you.
The Fever's comeback hasn't gone unnoticed. They're playing entertaining, competitive basketball, and fans are paying attention. Clark's arrival has revitalized the squad.
More than anything, I know these girls are going to be my best friends for the rest of my life, and really that's all that matters to me. I don't really care if we win another game. It's just having these people in my life for forever.
Resulting in an inevitable increase in expectations. However, although the Fever's success story is one of the most thrilling events in recent WNBA history.
Yeah, that's just not a basketball play, but you know, got to play through it. That's what basketball's about at this level. So I thought we've been really physical. We've missed some bunnies around the rim, and so hopefully those fall in the fourth, but really proud of our team.
It has also resulted in a slew of unexpected repercussions. With tremendous success comes considerable attention, not all of which is beneficial.
Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
As Clark's fame continues to grow, so does the hostility she seems to be instilling in her opponents.
Stephen A., I'm talking to you, Stephen A., if you had promoted the WNBA more, if you had talked about it more, they would have played more games. Like I had the power to go up to ESPN and say, you know, directors and producers and cameramen and everybody else flocked to the WNBA. At the time,
The WNBA has always had its fair share of rivalries and competitive edge, but what we're seeing now with Clark and the Indiana Fever is something new, more fierce.
People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like,
one of the most striking evidence of this growing hatred came in a recent game versus the Connecticut Sun. During the match, Alyssa Thomas committed a hard foul on Clark, which many fans and experts deemed unwarranted and unnecessarily violent. The foul was largely viewed as a direct message: welcome to the WNBA, rookie. It was a sharp reminder that despite her outstanding accomplishments, Clark is still seen as an outsider by some of the league's veterans. However, the situation with Thomas is not uncommon. In many games, Clark has faced more physical and aggressive defense.
Give it up for these women, these incredible seniors, and thank you for all that
you've done. Opposing teams seem eager to go to any length to control her, even crossing the line into unsportsmanlike behavior. This kind of approach demonstrates Clark's impact. Teams are starting to regard her as more than simply a brilliant player, but also a real danger to their success.
honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball.
Clark's resilience, however, is her most outstanding quality. Despite the increasing aggressiveness and efforts to knock her off her game, she stays undeterred. She continues to play her signature style of basketball, making impossible passes, scoring long-range shots, and leading her team with grace and confidence. Clark isn't simply surviving the hardships she faces, she's flourishing in them. Given the background of escalating tensions, it's no wonder that emotions are high around the league. However, Teresa Weatherspoon's reply at a recent news appearance surprised many. Weatherspoon, a renowned figure in women's basketball, is noted for her wide knowledge and level-headed approach to the game.
I'm pretty sure I'll be in a three-point competition for everybody to watch at some point. Not everybody needs to freak out. So, but also like, the roster that we have in the three-point competition is incredible. You look at their percentages, they're all 40% three-point shooters. Like, they're shooting better percentage-wise than I am, so they all deserve it. I'll be there supporting, watching them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just like take some rest and make a decision for myself, which is at times can be hard to do. And
that's why her hasty exit from a news appearance, refusing to answer questions regarding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, has perplexed many. In all of my years covering basketball, I've never seen anything like that. Coaches are often required to exhibit a sense of calm and professionalism, particularly in front of the media. However, Weatherspoon's reply was anything but calm.
I'm honestly proud of myself for doing that.
I so appreciate your honesty there. And I was talking to Diana Taurasi earlier today.
Her abrupt departure generated more questions than it answered, leading everyone to speculate on what might have provoked such a strong reaction. To comprehend the importance of this occasion, we must first analyze Teresa Weatherspoon.
Yeah, obviously nothing's official, and for this league, like, to me, it's like sky's the limit. You're seeing how incredible it can be. You can see how hard it is to get a ticket to get into the doors, how many people want to turn it on their television, how people are traveling miles and miles to come and watch and have an opportunity to interact with the players or just watch the players play basketball live in person. So, you know, obviously expansion is going to really help. The new media deal is going to help.
She is not just any coach, she is a Hall of Famer, a two-time WNBA champion, and a veteran of the women's basketball world. For someone of her standing to respond in this manner implies that something else is going on. One idea suggests that Weatherspoon's behavior stems from dissatisfaction. The Chicago Sky, on which she has poured her heart and her, is faltering this season, but Clark's Indiana Fever is on the rise.
And I think you're just going to continue to see it grow. This is really only the beginning in my eyes. It's the hardest league in all of sports with only, you know, less than 144 spots. Obviously that's expanding, but you know, I'm excited. The people that have been in this league deserve it, and then obviously the people that are going to continue to come into this league are.
It's conceivable that witnessing her team struggle while a rookie like Clark dominates the league is hard for her to accept. After all, Weatherspoon has spent years establishing her image and team, and suddenly a 22-year-old is stealing the show. This might be a difficult pill to take for someone who has devoted their life to the sport.
90 seconds left to play here in the first quarter. Looking for Reese. In fact, Bentley tips it away and off and running. Caitlin Clark.
The Caitlin Clark effect refers not just to her on-court performance, but also to how she is transforming the whole WNBA. Her success has brought the league unparalleled exposure, recruiting new fans, and creating media coverage that women's basketball has seldom experienced before. This increased prominence is definitely beneficial to the sport as a whole, but it is also causing a ripple effect that puts pressure on everyone involved.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whomever's over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break? From Olympic action, basketball in general, I guess.
For years, the WNBA has struggled to establish its position in the cluttered sports scene, sometimes failing to attract the same degree of attention as men's leagues.
The Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, has produced a slew of outstanding players throughout the years, but two stand out in recent memory: Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Their paths, although different, have often crossed, with each making substantial contributions to women's basketball and the sport's general development. Clark and Mitchell have captivated fans with their on-court talent, and the history they have created together represents the WNBA's developing environment.
Wins all of last season. They're already at 10. Looking to tie last year's winning record.
Clark from way downtown.
Caitlin Clark, a brilliant college basketball player, was making headlines even before she joined the WNBA. Her remarkable ascent has catapulted her into talks with the game's luminaries. Kelsey Mitchell, on the other side, has quickly established herself as one of the WNBA's top scorers after being drafted in 2018. These two players symbolize the league's present and future, and their journeys tell a unique story of grit, ability, and dedication.
Listen, I believed in her from day one. You knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41%.
In this video, we will examine the connected histories of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, including their upbringing, early careers, and how they influenced and continue to develop the WNBA. We will also examine their playing styles, achievements, and impact both on and off the court.
Clark off the switch, found Smith, who laid it.
Caitlin Clark, born in West Des Moines, Iowa, has swiftly established herself as one of the country's most promising basketball players. Clark has had an unusual ability to score from wherever on the floor since he was little. Her high school career was nothing short of remarkable, as she established multiple records and received numerous awards. She was a high school All-American, and her choice to join the University of Iowa benefited both her and the program. During her college career, Clark's name became associated with explosive playmaking, long-range shooting, and a ferocious competitive spirit. Her ability to command the floor and push her team to success was shown when she led the Iowa Hawkeyes to new heights in the NCAA tournament. Clark's unwavering pursuit of perfection, along with her basketball IQ, elevated her to the ranks of women's collegiate basketball's most prominent players.
As Bonner can't hit, Fag-Benley the rebound. Here comes Clark, bouncing to Fag-Benley, who lays it in!
Clark was already being compared to some of the finest players in the WNBA before going pro, and her ability to have a huge effect on the league was obvious. She was seen not just as a potential WNBA player, but also as someone whose unique skill set may transform the game. Kelsey Mitchell, born in Cincinnati, Ohio, had a somewhat different road to basketball greatness. Mitchell's basketball career started in high school, where she polished her abilities before attending Ohio State University. Mitchell became one of the most prolific scorers in NCAA history while at Ohio State, establishing records for both her shooting ability and on-court leadership. Her accomplishments earned her a berth in the 2018 WNBA draft, when she was taken second overall by the Indiana Fever.
Minnesota bouncing back on top. Kelsey Mitchell also heating up in the second half.
The high arcing from Kelsey Mitchell.
Mitchell's move to the WNBA was simple, and she rapidly established herself in the league. Her scoring talent, especially from beyond the arc, gave her a nightmare for opponents, and she emerged as one of the Indiana Fever's primary offensive weapons. Mitchell's skill has improved over the years, and she is now one of the league's most consistent scorers. While Clark was still making an impact in college, Mitchell had already established herself as one of the best players in the WNBA, demonstrating that her collegiate success could be translated to the professional level.
Steve 9, 5:13 left in regulation. Mitchell tries to answer with a long-range jumper of her own.
Caitlin Clark's game is typified by her ability to score from any position on the floor. She possesses long range, allowing her to make three-pointers from many feet beyond the arc, similar to NBA stars such as Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard. But Clark is much more than simply a shooter. She is a superb playmaker, often setting up her teammates for easy baskets with precision passing and excellent court vision.
Caitlin.
Clark's basketball IQ stands out among many other players. She is a game student who consistently makes the correct judgments and is seldom shaken by high-stakes scenarios. Clark has shown to be one of the most versatile players in recent memory, whether she is creating space for a shot, driving to the basket, or providing an assist. Clark is also a formidable defensive player. She uses her length and quickness to block passing lanes, and her competitive drive keeps her focused on both ends of the floor. Her total flexibility makes her a player who can influence the game in a variety of ways, which is one of the reasons she was so successful in college and is anticipated to succeed in the WNBA. Kelsey Mitchell, on the other hand, is well known for her scoring skills. Throughout her collegiate and WNBA careers, she was one of the most dangerous offensive players in the league. Mitchell's fast release and ability to build her shot make her an ongoing danger to opposition defenses. Her three-point shooting is exceptional, and she can pull up from anywhere on the floor with ease.
Mitchell has not missed a shot yet. She's 3 for 3. Shot clock down to 5. Mitchell trying to create. Step back, that's a 3. She connects. Mitchell is...
But Mitchell is more than simply a shooter. She can also attack the basket and finish through contact, making her a dynamic scorer who can disrupt defenses in various ways. Her quickness and ball handling abilities enable her to beat opponents off the dribble, and she is adept at managing traffic to reach the basket. While Mitchell's greatest strength is her ability to score, she has also improved her playmaking skills with time. Early in her career, she was more concerned with her offense, but as she grew, she learned to include her teammates more, making her a complete player. Mitchell is aggressive on defense, utilizing her agility to keep ahead of her opponents and disrupt their attacking flow. Caitlin Clark's effect on the WNBA is much anticipated as she prepares to make her debut. Her academic success has already elevated her to an elite company, and many expect her to be a game changer on the professional level. The possibility of Clark competing against experienced WNBA talents like Kelsey Mitchell adds an interesting element to the league. Fans are excited to watch how Clark's unique skill set will transfer against the world's finest defenders, and how she will improve the performance of her future squad. Clark's debut in the WNBA is crucial not just for her own career, but also for the league as a whole. The exposure she received during her college years has helped to increase awareness of women's basketball, and her participation in the WNBA is anticipated to improve the league's appeal even more.
Realizes it. Clark trying to take her defender, pulls up and hits from the mid-range, 20 points.
While Clark's WNBA debut is greatly anticipated, Kelsey Mitchell's reputation in the league continues to grow. Mitchell is already 3 years into her professional career and has established herself as one of the WNBA's finest offensive players. Her steady scoring and leadership on the court have made her a vital member of the Indiana Fever, and she shows no signs of slowing down. Mitchell's impact in the WNBA extends beyond just scoring points. She has become a mentor to younger players, guiding the future generation of stars, such as Caitlin Clark, who will shortly join the league. Mitchell's expertise and leadership are critical to the development of the league's future stars, and she continues to set a standard for what it takes to achieve at the top level of female basketball.
So just trying to force the pace, pull up 3. Mitchell.
As Caitlin Clark joins the WNBA, she and Kelsey Mitchell will undoubtedly face off on the floor. These clashes are guaranteed to be exciting, as both players have great offensive abilities and a competitive intensity that motivates them to perform at their best. While Clark's approach is more focused on playmaking and adaptability, Mitchell's sheer scoring ability provides a unique challenge to any opponent. Clark and Mitchell's competition, although heated on the court, is likely to be characterized by mutual respect. Both athletes have overcome enormous challenges to reach the pinnacle of their respective sports, and they understand the commitment and hard work required to achieve at the professional level. This admiration will be visible in their confrontations as they push each other to new heights and elevate the WNBA's level of competitiveness.
WNBA in average game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and
Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell's participation in the WNBA ushers in a new era for women's basketball. As the league's popularity grows, athletes like Clark and Mitchell are at the vanguard of that transformation.
Their distinct skill sets, competitive spirit, and ability to interact with fans make them ideal ambassadors for the league's future.
And you know what that is? Kudos to her, because that means not only has she been putting in the work behind the scenes, but that means
The effect of these two athletes extends beyond their on-court performances. Both Clark and Mitchell have utilized their platforms to promote women's sports and encourage the next generation of female athletes. Their effect can be seen in the increased number of young girls who pick up a basketball and hope to one day play in the WNBA. Clark and Mitchell are creating history together, which is crucial in terms of representation. As the WNBA fights for more exposure and equality in the world of sports, the success of players like Clark and Mitchell contributes to the ongoing discussion about the value of women's sports and the need for increased funding and support. Looking forward, Caitlin Clark's future in the WNBA seems very promising.
rookie from the Indiana Fever who continues to be box office. Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA.
She has all of the tools necessary to become one of the league's brightest lights. There will be an adjustment period as she moves from college to professional basketball, but Clark's skill and work ethic indicate that she will adapt quickly and prosper in the WNBA. Clark's ability to motivate her colleagues and improve those around her will be critical to her long-term success. As her game improves, it's not difficult to envision her guiding her team to several playoff berths and maybe a title.
When you're at that position, the point guard position, and you're leading the charge, you have to figure things out. But all I was hearing...
Kelsey Mitchell sees the future as ongoing domination in the WNBA. Mitchell, who is now at the peak of her career, has already established herself as one of the league's top offensive players. As she continues to improve her game and take on additional leadership responsibilities, she will undoubtedly be a key figure in the WNBA for many years to come.
And offensively be more involved here.
Aaliyah Boston is one of the elite post players in this league. She needs to get touches down low in the...
Mitchell's ability to score at will, along with her developing playmaking abilities, make her a tough challenge for any opponent. As the league evolves, Mitchell will be at the forefront, paving the way for the next generation of WNBA players. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell's past together demonstrates their talent, tenacity, and passion for the game of basketball. While their paths have been different, they have each had a significant effect on women's basketball, and their presence in the WNBA is helping to define the league's future.
And that's the way to push the ball in transition. Oh, that's not gonna waste much time. Caitlin Clark has...
As Clark starts her professional career and Mitchell builds on her already great reputation, the WNBA is in capable hands. These two athletes symbolize the pinnacle of women's basketball, and their contributions will be felt for years to come. Whether as opponents or teammates, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are creating history, and their careers are far from done.
Clark has space, she's gonna let it fly, and she's gonna connect!
Caitlin Clark is unstoppable in the WNBA right now, and it appears that no matter what occurs, she rises to the occasion. Clark's recent move has dramatically altered the league landscape, leaving fans, pundits, and even her detractors stunned. The same people who formerly mocked her or questioned her talents are now faced with the inescapable truth. Caitlin Clark is unstoppable. Every move she makes and every game she plays leaves the WNBA in awe, but her most recent accomplishment elevated it to a new level. It was more than just a game-changing performance. It was a cultural event, a seismic shift that had her critics scurrying for an explanation.
Listen, I believed in her from day one. You knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41%.
Caitlin Clark has been a superstar since her undergraduate days, captivating admirers with her tremendous range, precision playmaking, and unwavering confidence. Her supremacy on the basketball court began early, but what makes her path even more astounding is her ability to turn every doubt, struggle, and criticism into fuel for her never-ending desire to be the best. Clark's outstanding performance at the University of Iowa, where she led her team to multiple triumphs, demonstrated that she was destined for greatness. However, shifting to the WNBA brought its own set of expectations and challenges.
Red hot. They've been ice cold since that first quarter. Clark way outside. You bet!
The WNBA is populated by great athletes who have competed at the highest level for years. And for Clark, entering this environment meant demonstrating that she could not only hold her own, but also dominate. She dominated. Clark's transition to the WNBA went more smoothly than most rookies. She had an immediate impact, demonstrating that she was more than just a brilliant player. She was a game changer. However, as popularity grows, critics emerge, and Clark was no exception. Despite her apparent brilliance, Caitlin Clark has endured her fair share of criticism. Clark has come under severe criticism for a variety of reasons, including her confident demeanor on the court, her abrasive playing style, and the fact that she constantly performs at a level that others find difficult to match. Some have criticized her for being overly confident or bold, while others have questioned her capacity to continue her success over time. Clark, however, has always responded to criticism by allowing her game to speak for itself. Her ability to soar above the fray has been nothing short of astounding. While some athletes may crumble under the weight of continual media scrutiny and fan expectations, Clark appears to revel in it. Every unfavorable comment or doubt seems to inspire her to prove others wrong, which she has done throughout her WNBA career.
That's putting up some buckets.
It sure was. Top 4 scorers at the college level here in this one. As
Clark just did something that hushed her detractors while also sending shockwaves around the league. Clark set many records in a single game, delivering a masterpiece that left even her opponents in awe. It wasn't just the number of points she scored or how she dominated on both ends of the court. It was how she did it, with poise, confidence, and precision, that drew everyone's attention. Clark not only performed admirably in this game, but she also redefined what it meant to be a WNBA superstar. Her ability to dictate the pace of the game, make impossible shots appear easy, and involve her teammates at the right times exhibited a level of basketball intelligence that many had never seen before. Caitlin Clark was clearly playing to make a statement, not just to win.
Foul knows it's important not to pick up the second because she got 2 in the first quarter against Connecticut.
Clark connects on a 3.
She made a statement. By the end of the game, Clark had broken multiple records, including the most points scored in a single game by a WNBA player. Fans were ecstatic, social media exploded, and sports analysts couldn't stop talking about her performance. While many people were celebrating Clark's historic night, there was one group that wasn't so happy: her critics.
Where all the people that Stephen A? Oh, she don't do this. She not gonna do that. Let her cook.
Let her.
Caitlin Clark's critics, or bullies, reacted quickly. However, rather than recognizing Clark's greatness, many of them doubled down on their critiques, accusing her of being overly flashy or condescending to her opponents. They said that her record-breaking performance was motivated by ego rather than skill. Some even argued that Clark's dominance was detrimental to the league, making the WNBA less competitive.
Diggins, Fake Smith, her last name, she bumped into her, sped up. Let her cook. But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told...
These comments, of course, were unfounded. Clark's achievement was about more than just individual triumph. It was about pushing the limits of what is possible in sport. However, for some, watching a young, confident athlete like Clark succeed was too much to bear. Her success, in their eyes, represented a threat to the established system, and rather than celebrating her accomplishments, they chose to undermine her. Clark, as always, remained unmoved. She did not respond to the abuse or engage with her critics. Instead, she allowed her game to speak for itself. In doing so, she once again demonstrated why she is one of the league's most entertaining and brilliant players. Caitlin Clark's climb to popularity is more than simply a personal triumph. It can transform the WNBA as a whole. For years, the league has struggled with visibility and respect frequently being overshadowed by its male counterpart, the National Basketball Association. However, with players like Clark creating headlines and attracting new fans, the WNBA is beginning to receive the recognition it deserves.
And stop other teams from scoring.
Well, last year Indiana was 10th in pace. Christy Sides telling us Clark rattles her second three.
Clark's triumph has energized the league. Fans eagerly await her next move, and her performances frequently make national headlines. In some ways, Clark is helping to break the mold of what fans anticipate from the WNBA. She demonstrates that women's basketball can be as thrilling, competitive, and entertaining as men's basketball, and sometimes even more so. But Clark's impact extends beyond the games. She has also established herself as a role model for young athletes, particularly young females who aspire to play professional basketball. Clark is pushing the next generation of players to chase their aspirations and push the limits of what is possible in the sport by demonstrating that it is possible to excel in the WNBA while doing so stylishly. Clark's influence extends beyond the court. Off the court, her influence is just as strong. Clark has become a cultural icon, heralding a new age in women's basketball that values confidence, talent, and personality. Clark's unabashed attitude has struck a chord with both fans and sportsmen in a sport where players are frequently supposed to be meek and reserved. The WNBA has long been a hotbed of competitive skill, with several players putting their all on the floor. However, when a player like Caitlin Clark emerges, the whole league's atmosphere shifts. Clark is a generational talent who has redefined what it means to be dominant in women's basketball. Her overwhelming talent and ability to smash records have made her a fan favorite, but she has also elicited hatred and jealousy from other players and analysts.
Here's Clark, nice find, Agumake, push shot, banks in, make it 8 assists for Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark's recent promotion to MVP rank has sparked outrage among the WNBA. This wasn't just any triumph, it was a watershed event that made the league take notice. However, her success sparked an outpouring of criticism, especially from those who couldn't tolerate her domination. This pushback from both athletes and media figures highlights the difficulties that often follow sporting success. It also begs the issue of why certain individuals are unable to cope with the ascent of a very exceptional athlete.
Caitlin Clark Kent, superwoman, you see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, fever, Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record Friday against the Aces.
In this video, we'll examine the drama that followed Caitlin Clark's MVP win, including comments from other players, media characters, and the WNBA fandom as a whole. We'll also examine how Clark's ascension has upended the league's relationships and sparked outrage among her opponents. Caitlin Clark did not become a WNBA superstar overnight. Her path to becoming one of the league's finest players was marked by years of hard work, devotion, and record-breaking performances. Her collegiate basketball career, when she captained the Iowa Hawkeyes, was defined by amazing exploits that distinguished her from her colleagues. Clark's deadly shooting range, basketball IQ, and exceptional playmaking talents made her a force to be reckoned with.
In average game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops herself. She recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court, and didn't mention the rookie when speaking of Indiana's rise in the standings.
After joining the WNBA, she quickly became a household name. Her first few games in the league were a spectacle of high-scoring, triple-double performances that had fans and observers alike excited about her potential. However, as Clark's status grew, so did the number of players and commentators who were less pleased about her achievement. The more she succeeded on the court, the more resentment among some players became apparent. Despite the rising tensions surrounding her, Caitlin stayed concentrated on her game. She broke records, racked up remarkable numbers, and led her team to victory. By the time the WNBA MVP campaign began, Clark was clearly one of the front runners.
Look at this quote here. I think the Olympic break really helped Indiana. I'm going to shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She's just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. If Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standings, end quote. So no, Caitlin Clark. Cheryl Swoops.
When Caitlin Clark was named the WNBA's MVP, it seemed like a watershed moment for the league. Her triumph was well-deserved, considering her contributions to the game and leadership on the court. Statistically, she exceeded many of her colleagues, guiding her squad to one of its greatest seasons. Her ability to score, assist, and create chances for her teammates elevated her to a league of her own. However, the MVP award wasn't without debate. Some players and observers felt that other athletes were more deserved, citing senior players who had been in the league longer or had more experience. Clark's quick ascension and achievement were seen as excessive and premature. For some, the fact that a younger player had surpassed seasoned veterans appeared like an unjust disturbance in the league's hierarchy.
I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? For us, just in the women's side of things, and the hype that she had, the expectations she had to live up to, packing out arenas on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people out there waiting to see her fail, and still keeping her composure as a rookie and leading this team has been a beautiful thing to see.
This response was more than simply a dispute over the MVP award. It was the result of rising displeasure with Clark's domination. Her propensity to capture the attention with her dazzling moves and high-scoring games left several veterans feeling marginalized and underappreciated. Several players expressed their dissatisfaction with Clark's MVP victory, both publicly and privately. Some were subtle, casting a shadow in interviews and social media postings, while others were more outspoken in their dislike for her success.
Cheryl Swoops. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree? Do you realize that, Cheryl Swoops, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Cheryl Swoops, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball.
Some veterans in particular seemed hesitant to accept Clark's new standing as the league's best player. These athletes, who had spent years working towards their accomplishments, felt let down by Clark's quick climb to the top. The MVP race, which they thought should have been theirs to win, had been stolen by a player who was just beginning her career. Clark's victory seemed like a disturbance to the natural order, a passing of the torch that came much too soon. This increasing anger wasn't limited to the locker rooms. On the court, Clark became the subject of more aggressive play. Hard fouls, taunting, and other unsportsmanlike behavior increased as some players sought to knock her down a peg. It became evident that some of her colleagues couldn't take her success and were prepared to go to extreme measures to undermine her game.
On the debut episode, co-host Maya Reese, who is Angel's cousin, asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Fever's fan base. Take a look at what Angel Reese had to say about that. Quote, Caitlin Clark fans, they're Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like, I'm talking about people who have come down to my address, following me home. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that.
Clark's MVP award was hardly the only cause of contention. In the media, numerous analysts questioned whether Clark genuinely deserved the title. Some have even argued that her success was exaggerated because of her marketability and popularity among fans, rather than her real performance on the court. This story, however, disregarded the facts. Clark's MVP victory was supported by indisputable numbers and performances that speak for themselves. However, The media's obsession with pulling her down seemed to match the views of her opponents in the league. Resentment over a young player, breaking through obstacles that had held others at the top for so long.
Real deal. Listen, I believed in her from day one. You knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41% shooting, 33% from three-point range, leading the league in assists. Her last 5 games, Shannon, 22.5 points per game on 46% shooting, 11.4 assists per game. They've won 4 of their last 5, and now the Indiana Fever are 7th place overall and in playoff positioning. Caitlin Clark is real. She's coming, and I still contend she should have been on Team USA, Shannon. You saw the attendance for Team USA compared to everybody else. If she was on that team, that wouldn't have been a problem. I stand by my position from day one. She's real.
Rather than recognizing Clark's apparent brilliance, these commentators attempted to downplay her achievements by doubting the authenticity of her victory. They bought into the premise that she was being propped up because of her popularity, despite the fact that she dominated the league. In today's digital era, no big sports dispute is complete without the accompanying social media frenzy. Fans, players, and commentators all flocked to Twitter and Instagram to express their thoughts on Clark's MVP award. Some hailed her efforts, describing her as a light of hope for the WNBA's future. Others, however, joined the chorus of opponents who said that her victory was unjustified.
Well, all the people that, Stephen A., oh, she don't do this, she not gonna do that. Let her cook. It got so bad yesterday, the Seattle Storm, they pulled their starters so she couldn't get that double-digit assist record 3 consecutive games with at least 20 points and 10 or more assists. They pulled their starters, and then Skylar Diggins, Fake Smith, her last name, she bumped into her, sped up. Let her cook. But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your brim, and get on out of my gym. Let her cook.
The social media environment immediately became a war, with Clark's admirers protecting her against a never-ending barrage of attacks from detractors. Hashtags and memes increased, with some making fun of the envious players and pundits, while others adopted a more serious tone, highlighting Clark's harsh treatment. However, social media also gave a venue for the most divisive aspects of the argument. Clark's detractors, both inside and outside the league, exploited these venues to promote disparaging stories about her climb to MVP. Some even launched personal assaults, criticizing everything from her beauty to her demeanor. The resentment over her victory seemed to escalate out of hand, becoming less about basketball and more about tearing down a young star who was challenging the existing quo.
Just in the women's side of things, and the hype that she had, the expectations she had to live up to, packing out arenas on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people out there waiting to see her fail, and still keeping her composure as a rookie and leading this team has been a beautiful thing to see.
Caitlin Clark's MVP award sparked more than just criticism. It sent shockwaves across the WNBA. For the first time in years, the league saw a player who not only dominated on the court, but also became the subject of a heated and divisive discussion. While the spotlight surrounding Clark likely attracted more eyes to the WNBA, it also highlighted some of the league's underlying concerns. The anger and hostility against Clark reflected a bigger issue of rivalry and some veterans' unwillingness to accept the ascent of a new star. This dynamic threatened to sever connections inside clubs and throughout the league as a whole.
I want to know what y'all saying now, because she is legit. She's better, Stephen A., she's better than I thought she would soon. I thought she would be good. You and I both said she's going to be good because she got 2 skill sets. She can score the basketball and she can assist the basketball. So if one is not going, the other one will. But a lot of people say, oh, this and that. Let her cook. Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, because she like a double-edged sword. She cutting tail left and right, and it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph on it, and I'll wear it.
On the other side, Clark's dominance and the response she received sparked debate about the future of the WNBA. Many fans and commentators said that the league needed athletes like Clark to draw more spectators and take the sport to new heights. They said that the emphasis should be on recognizing Clark's skill rather than tearing her down out of jealousy.
Bebish hounding Clark. Clark, step back three, knocks it down. Take a look here at a career first.
Just step back, going right, I may add. It's usually step back, going left.
Despite the barrage of criticism, Caitlin Clark remained unaffected. Throughout her career, she had encountered skeptics and detractors who questioned her talents, and this was no exception. Rather than confronting her critics, Clark let her on-court performance speak for itself. Clark proceeded to put up impressive statistics in the games after her MVP triumph, demonstrating that she was well deserving of the honor. Her ability to rise above the hostility and stay focused on the game further cemented her place as one of the league's greatest players.
Yeah, I mean, Perk mentioned how she's learned from going into the film room, learned game from game. She equally learns within the game. On Friday, when they were playing against Vegas, she was held scoreless in the first half. What happened? She came out with some of that knowledge that she learned from that half in the previous game against Vegas and had 14 in the third quarter alone. She is just now playing at her pace, which, yes, is a very fast pace, but at the same time, the game has slowed down. We saw teams blitzing her like crazy early in the season. You can't do that anymore. She's playing today, to me.
Clark's calm and cool reaction to the controversy endeared her to admirers even more. While other players may have collapsed under the pressure of the criticism, Clark embraced it as inspiration to keep pushing herself to new heights. Her tenacity in the face of adversity became an important part of her story, demonstrating that genuine success requires not just ability, but also mental fortitude.
First lead for the Liberty that didn't last long, as Smith puts the Fever back on top. The Indiana Fever.
And they need Smith in the game, and this is just a simple transition.
As the dust settled following the hoopla surrounding Caitlin Clark's MVP victory, the WNBA found itself in a difficult situation. On the one hand, the publicity generated by Clark's triumph and the subsequent controversy served to increase the league's profile. On the other hand, some players' animosity and resentment threatened to split the league and create a poisonous environment that may stifle its development.
Caitlin has dominated since the All-Star break. What's been the biggest change in her game that you've noticed?
Chene, it took her about a month to figure things out, but since about the end of June, she's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
Players, commentators, and fans were left to consider the ramifications of Clark's ascension to the top. Will the league be able to overcome envy and welcome a new age of talent? Or will Clark's success exacerbate the divides, preventing the league from realizing its full potential? The answers to these questions could have been clearer. However, one thing was certain: Caitlin Clark had shattered the mold, and the WNBA would never be the same after. Whether her detractors liked it or not, Clark's domination pushed the league to address its fears and figure out how to proceed in the face of such overwhelming talent.
Had another monster game. She had 28 points, 12 assists, and a 193 win over the Dallas Wings today that pushed the Indiana Fever over 500 for the first time in 5 years.
Looking forward, it's evident that Caitlin Clark's career is just beginning. Her contentious MVP triumph is merely the start of what looks to be a long and successful career in the WNBA. As she continues to set records and exceed expectations, her naysayers will definitely have to accept her position in the league. The future is less assured for the WNBA as a whole. The league must find a way to balance the growth of emerging stars like Clark and the respect and recognition that experienced players deserve. While competition and rivalries are normal parts of sports, the animosity and jealousy that have emerged in response to Clark's success threaten to stymie the league's growth. The WNBA can see this as a watershed moment, a chance to enhance the sport by highlighting the extraordinary skill of girls like Caitlin Clark. However, in order to do so, the league must first address the underlying conflicts that surfaced as a result of her MVP victory. Only then can the WNBA genuinely prosper in the years ahead.
Your own building against you. Griner has it come off. Clark with the pull. Boston with a nice rim run.
Finally, Caitlin Clark's MVP triumph revealed WNBA's fault lines and spurred a discussion that extends beyond basketball. While her detractors may continue to doubt her achievements, there is no disputing that Clark has permanently altered the league. The issue now is whether the WNBA can meet the challenge and embrace the new age that Caitlin Clark symbolizes.